It was only after he agreed to the challenge when Kenji realized he might have made a mistake. Not that he was wrong about Aone being fine with him sitting on his lap, but the challenge required Aone to be busy, and the only time his boyfriend was actually busy at home was when he created in his workroom. And that was the worst possible place to do a challenge like this. Even if he was completely healthy and as careful as one could be, it was risky and could cause injuries to both of them. He definitely didn't want either of them to end up pierced by a drill or cut by a saw. They had enough injuries already. He carefully put more weight on his still not healed leg to assess how well he could move that day, only to hiss immediately as sharp pain shot all the way into his hip. No good today, I see. Damn pressure changes. He chugged down another painkiller, sighing in defeat as he accepted his fate and reached for the crutches leaned on his nightstand. I guess one can't have everything. Painfully slow, he made his way down the stairs, smiling for himself when he heard the faint sounds coming from Aone's workroom. It seemed like his boyfriend was already busy with something Kenji could only wonder about. Aone never told him what he was working on until it was finished. It helped to prevent disappointment, he always said. As if that was needed. Kenji couldn't recall a single instance when something Aone made was disappointing. Okay, well, two options now. Either I do something that doesn't require standing while I wait, or I go on with the challenge and risk getting hit with a hammer. He pursed his lips, contemplating his options. The first one was more preferable, and he could just wait until they settled by the TV or table. No one defined the term busy anyway. Aone, as always, solved his dilemma himself when he opened the door, his newest creation in hand. He gave Kenji a concerned look when he spotted the crutches, and Kenji smiled. As if you heard me. What do you have today? Aone's face relaxed a bit as he presented his creation to him. He put the two wooden files on the table, and Kenji actually swooned. His paperwork was getting out of hand for a long time, and while he would never care too much, Aone was a naturally order-loving person, and so Kenji tried to be less messy, at least for him. But he didn't expect Aone to actually listen to his lament about needing something to order the papers in. He should have known better. Aone always listened to him. Oh, you are a sweetheart, you know that? I would hug you, but these damn things... He knocked on the floor with the crutches, not even trying to hide the annoyance he felt. Are getting in the way. Aone frowned and carefully took Kenji's face in his palms. Does it hurt again? Kenji hummed and leaned into the touch, enjoying the feeling of the warm, calloused hands on his cheeks. He had always loved Aone's hands. They were perfect for holding him in all possible ways, and no one could tell him otherwise. A bit. I guess it's the weather change. That happens sometimes with injuries, right? It's nothing horrible though. I just thought I won't risk getting stuck somewhere without the crutches. He knew Aone wouldn't be convinced by that, but he had to try. He didn't like it when his boyfriend was worried about him for no real reason. After all, the pain wasn't anything new. He was used to it already. You should sit down if it hurts. It's fine, I can manage. It doesn't hurt that much. And besides, wasn't it you who said I'm getting lazy? That was before you got hurt. It's different now. It could get worse if you rush recovery. Kenji snorted, as if he could rush anything with Aone watching him on every step like a hawk, making him feel like a defiant child under the parents' watchful gaze. Wait a sec. A wide grin spread over his face, a perfect idea on how to deal with the challenge materializing in his mind. Say, are you busy taking care of me? Aona's frown deepened, the worried crease Kenji knew all too well now appearing on his forehead. Before he could say anything, he took Aona's hand off of his face and pressed a light kiss to his fingers. I'm not overthinking anything, I swear. It's a genuine question. Aona watched him for a while as if trying to decide whether he was lying or not, but his tilted head was a clear sign he was thinking about the question. I suppose I am. It's a lot of work to keep an eye on you when you can do more things on your own now. Kenji pouted. You had to add that, didn't you? Aona gave him a soft smile, returning the kiss to the back of Kenji's hand. I'm not complaining though. I like taking care of you. I like to think I'm helping you with fast recovery. Kenji grinned as if his heart didn't just melt like snow under the first spring sun rays. Perfect. Can you sit down for a while? Aona furrowed his brow but obeyed and sat on the nearest chair. Kenji left the crutches leaned against the table and a bit clumsily hopped towards his still confused boyfriend, settling on his lap with a content sigh. What's the smile for? Because I'm a genius. See, I solved 3 problems with 1 solution. I'm sitting down and resting like you wanted, and I can make sure you aren't too busy to take a break. And the 3rd problem? Kenji closed the distance between them, connecting their lips. Nothing important. Now let me snuggle to you. You got up way too early today. I didn't get my daily dose of morning cuddles, so it's only fair you repay me now. Rolling his eyes, Aona brought their lips together again, making Kenji shiver with excitement. Kunimi wished he had as much courage as he seemed to have in the chat when he agreed to the challenge. Not that he was worried Kindaichi would mind him sitting on his lap after all, that wasn't the issue. Considering the results of the last 2 challenges he did, he would be shocked if the opposite was the case. But that didn't mean he would just suddenly get rid of the invisible boundaries he put himself in throughout the years and become easily clingy like some of the other participants. And then there was the problem of Kindaichi not really being busy at home since he finished his exams, the busy parts of his days being reserved for practices and his work. It meant more time spent together, but also that the challenge was going to be unnecessarily more complicated to finish. And on top of that, Kindaichi had both practice and work that day, and Kunimi was bored. He laid sprawled on the bed like a starfish, staring into the ceiling in a vain attempt to tire his eyes enough to fall asleep. At least that way, the wait would be shorter. Now, of all times, I can't sleep? Really, brain? He was sure Kindaichi would scold him if he heard him right now. Be glad you sleep at night, he would say. And Kunimi was glad, really. Since the last challenge, he made a few visits to the doctor Shirabu recommended him to, and his sleeping got mostly back to normal. He still had to deal with occasional insomnia, but at least he didn't have to bother Kindaichi to be always with him. He sighed and rolled over to sit on the edge of the bed, rubbing his eyes. I guess I should at least make something to eat before you get home. He's going to be hungry for sure. He froze when he heard the faint sound of the front door opening. Huh. He's not supposed to be here for at least another hour. His heartbeat sped up, panic spreading through his chest. He was sure Kindaichi would tell him if he came home sooner, and they were the only people with keys. A memory of the last night's news flashed through his mind, the warning about an increased rate of robberies in their area sending chills down his spine. He jumped up and grabbed the pole they used to hang their clothes on to have something to protect himself with before he peeked from the room. Maybe if I scare them enough they will leave? Most robbers run away when someone's at home, right? He clenched the pole in his hand and slowly made his way to the stairs and down, ready to bolt back into the room at the first sign of danger. You? Yeah, I'm home. Kunime let out a relieved breath and leaned the paw on the wall before rushing down the rest of the staircase. He didn't give Kindaichi much time to prepare before he threw himself around his neck, wrapping his limbs around him like a koala. Kindaichi staggered a bit, but soon secured Kunime in his arms, a clearly amused chuckle resonating through his chest. I didn't know you missed me so much. Kunime huffed, slightly annoyed by Kindaichi's cheerful tone. I don't. You're an idiot. Huh? Why? What did I do? Kunime pulled away a bit and narrowed his eyes at his fiancée, barely able to stifle a laugh upon seeing Kindaichi's clueless expression. He looked like a puppy that just got scolded for destroying the couch, and Kunime wouldn't be able to stay mad at him even if he wanted. But he could pretend to be. You scared me, that's why. I thought we were getting robbed. Why didn't you tell me you were coming home sooner? Understanding flashed over Kindaichi's face. Oh, sorry. I wanted to surprise you, not scare you. We finished earlier because a lot of guys were sick today. Though I think they are just enjoying a longer weekend with their partners for the Valentine's Day. Kunime chuckled. They never celebrated Valentine's Day too much, but the idea of spending a whole weekend celebrating love with one's partner sounded pretty sweet. Well, guess that could have been a nice surprise under normal circumstances. Kindaichi smirked and kissed him. What? Were you ready with a baseball bat to beat me up? Not you, the robber. And it wasn't a baseball bat. You don't even have one. You don't have one. I do, remember? Kunime rolled his eyes. He couldn't understand what drove the players on Kindaichi's team to go play baseball after their regular practice. So much movement would probably kill him. As if reading his mind, Kindaichi nuzzled their noses together, smiling. It's a good bonding activity, you know? And cool down after practice. How can a different sport be a cool down for another sport? You would be surprised. But, not that I'm complaining about our current position, but could I maybe take off my shoes? Kunime shook his head and tightened his embrace. Nope, you scared me, so now you will suffer the consequences. But you can sit down if you want. Kindaichi sighed but pressed a short kiss to Kunime's lips and walked over to sit on the couch. Kunime shifted to sit more comfortably on his lap and let out a content sigh, earning a soft smile from Kindaichi. You know, I think I found my weakness. Weakness? Yuki asked us today what we think our weakness is. I wasn't sure, so I didn't say anything, but now I think I know what it is. Kunime's cheeks flared up, now not only because of the large hands trailing up and down his thighs. Such a sap. But it's good to know. At least when we really get robbed and they kidnap me for money, I can be sure you'll pay the ransom. Of course I would. Unless I hunt those kidnappers down for even touching you first. Kunime smiled, knowing Kindaichi wasn't exaggerating in any way saying that. Poor guys. Goshiki was actually shaking since the moment he agreed to the challenge, though he wasn't sure if it was from excitement or nerves. Sure, the challenge didn't seem like anything difficult, just a small gesture between partners, nothing grand. Couples did that all the time, right? Well, they didn't. Not that Goshiki ever suffered from lack of affection. Kogane had always been a very touchy and affectionate person, perhaps a bit too much at times. But Goshiki didn't mind. It felt nice to be surrounded by the setter's strong arms, though he could live without the occasional remarks about his height. As if it was his fault, Kogane hit a growth spur in their third year and was now towering at almost 2 meters of height. Maybe it was time to get back at him. Though, this might be a reward for him more than anything. He bit his lip, clenching the strap of his bag in his hand. Perhaps he agreed to the challenge too quickly and without much thinking. The wall of hesitation he was standing in front of right now was pretty much his own creation. He had always found the image of sitting on one's partner's lap quite charming, lovely even. But not when he imagined himself doing it. That just felt strange, and he didn't know why. Perhaps it was because of his height. No matter what Kogane said, he still measured over 186 centimeters, and after all, in the movies and manga, it was always a much shorter girl sitting on her boyfriend's lap. And Goshiki was neither small nor a girl. He had no doubts Kogane could hold his weight without issue. The setter only got stronger since he started playing professionally, but the image of him sitting on Kogane's lap was just weird. Sighing, he threw the bag over his shoulder. No point in overthinking it right now, I guess. Worst case scenario, it will be really embarrassing. He sent Kogane a short message that he was heading home, like always when he had practice, and rushed to their car. He arrived home about an hour later, drained and completely exhausted. Not even a hard practice could measure to the evening traffic jams. Throwing the bag on the floor, he no less than stumbled into the living room from where he could hear the TV playing. Kogane looked up and flashed him a blinding smile only a well-rested person could muster. Oh, how he envied him. Hello, sweetheart. Welcome home. Goshiki flinched at the volume of his boyfriend's voice, but then a smile tucked in the corners of his lips. At least someone is in a good mood. Hey, how was work today? Kogane beamed and started to blubber about his day, making Goshiki realize Yamagata might really not be that far with his comment. But he would never change. He loved Kogane's enthusiasm even for the smallest things. So, everything okay? Goshiki snapped out of his thoughts. Huh? Oh, sorry, I had to space out. The practice was a bit difficult today, you know? And the way home drained me completely. I don't understand why they have to repair all the roads leading here at the same time. Kogane cooed and pulled Goshiki into the warmest embrace he knew. Aw, my poor sweetheart. You have it difficult, don't you? Very difficult. He melted into the embrace, sighing contently. It was interesting how something as simple as a hug could chase away all the exhaustion and tension gathered in his body over the whole day. Kogane was really something special. Can you borrow me some of your energy? You always seem to have plenty to give away. You think? Yeah. You're just like Hinata, only taller. Kogane puffed out his chest as if being compared to Hinata was his biggest life achievement, which, knowing his simple mind, wouldn't be that much of a surprise. Well, I can't really transfer my energy to you, but I can make you a dinner and then we can watch something you like. Or we can go to sleep early today if you are too tired. Sounds good. He bit his lip, slowly pulling away to sit up. But I have to do something first. Kogane tilted his head, curious, looking like a dog who just got shown a new trick. Okay. You aren't going to smack me like the last week, right? That was one time and you deserved it. For what? For being a giant dumbass, what else? But no, nothing like that. Kogane let out an overly theatrical relieved sigh, probably a symptom of spending too much time around his former captain. Okay then, what is it? As long as no one gets injured, I'm up to anything. Suddenly nervous again, Goshiki looked down, subconsciously playing with the hem of Kogane's t-shirt. I know, but this is something I've never done before. He lightly swung his leg over Kogane's thighs, his cheeks flaring up as he straddled his hips. He felt Kogane freeze under him and cringed inwardly, already cursing himself for ever agreeing to the challenge. What are we doing? I'm sitting on your lap. I can see that, but what's the goal here? Koshiki's heart sank. This definitely wasn't a good idea. He should have known Kogane would be weirded out by it. Sorry, I just thought... Never mind. He moved to get off and possibly to hide in the bathroom or bedroom, but was stopped by a strong grip on his hips. His breath hitched. Kanji? Stay like this. I like it. But you... I was just surprised you would do something like this since... You know, you said you were tired and you don't usually do this kind of thing. But I like it. He smiled and brushed his fingers along Goshiki's cheek and jaw before settling his hand on the back of his neck. I like it a lot, actually. Goshiki's face grew hotter every passing second, but he still settled back on Kogane's lap, hesitating for a bit before placing his hands on his boyfriend's chest. Okay. Then, can we do this more often? Please? Kogane grinned, closing the distance between them, and Goshiki was ready to melt. Perhaps it wasn't such a bad idea after all. The strong smell of cleaning supplies hit him as soon as he opened the door to their apartment. Atsumu scrunched his nose, the combination of chlorine and iodine making him cough. It's one of those days, huh? He put the shopping bags on the counter in the spotless kitchen to unpack them, almost worried to put the groceries on the shining surface. Sakusa had tendency to sometimes slip into a furious cleaning spree that could last from hours to anywhere near 2 days, and it seemed like he just walked right into one of them. He was already used to it, and always tried to make it easy for his boyfriend, making sure he got enough food and sleep to function properly. Fortunately nowadays, the sprees were usually on the shorter side. It used to be much worse. Carefully, he put the groceries away, taking care of not disturbing the order Sakusa made in the fridge while he was away. Not only because Sakusa would hate it, but also because Atsumu had too much respect for Sakusa's work to mindlessly ruin it. He shook his head, a gentle smile appearing on his lips. I mean, I'm home. He didn't wait for an answer since he knew he wouldn't get one anyway, and went straight into the bedroom from where he could hear muffled buzzing of the window cleaner. Sure enough, he spotted Sakusa busy with cleaning the window, small frown curling his lips down. It didn't seem like he noticed Atsumu coming in, and Atsumu grinned wolfishly, coming up with a genius idea. He slowly walked around and behind Sakusa's back, careful not to be noticed before he squeezed his shoulder. Boo! Sakusa jumped and whipped around, smacking the damp cloth right into Atsumu's face. What the... Atsumu! Atsumu sputtered, but couldn't stop the joyful laughter bubbling in his throat. You should have seen your face. I could have injured you, you idiot. What if I had something else in hand than cloth? Atsumu shrugged. It would be worth it. I don't see you lose composure too much, and it's beautiful. Sakusa huffed and smacked him with the cloth again. Okay, fine, I'll stop. But you were so indulged in cleaning you didn't even notice I came back, even though I called on you. And, since I'm cleaning the whole flat, you could put away the groceries, right? He paused, piercing Atsumu with a sharp gaze. You didn't make a mess in the fridge, did you? Atsumu raised his hands in defense. I wouldn't dream of it. Everything is in its place and there's no mess on the counters either, I promise. Sakusa nodded, obviously relieved. Alright, good. Well, I'm almost done here, so you can either lend a hand or take a break in the living room. Without making a mess, of course. Atsumu frowned, suspicious, and took a step back. Who are you, and what did you do to my boyfriend? Rolling his eyes in exasperation, Sakusa turned back to the window. Atsumu chuckled and wrapped his arms around Sakusa's waist from behind, nuzzling into the crook of his neck. Alright, I get it. You are the greatest and most considerate boyfriend in the world, and I should be happy you are putting up with me and my mess. Did I get it right? Pretty much. Now, though I appreciate your attention, could you let go of me so I can finish this? Atsumu tilted his head without any attempt to let go. He didn't want to, especially since he now had the ideal opportunity to do the challenge. I have a better idea. How about you take a break and lay your attention on me rather than our window? Sakusa narrowed his eyes, which no longer had any effect on Atsumu. He knew Sakusa well enough to know his expressions rarely meant what they seemed to. Atsumu, I swear to gods, I will pour that dirty water on your head if you don't let go of me this instant. Smirking, Atsumu gently pushed him backwards until his knees hit the bed and he had no other option than to sit down. Empty promises, Ome. He settled on Sakusa's lap before he could get up again and wrapped his arms around his neck to not get shoved down easily. What exactly are you doing? Sitting on your lap and forcing you to pay attention to me. Because your boyfriend needs attention now, otherwise he will become jealous of all those cleaning supplies. Sakusa grumbled under his breath, but then wrapped his arms around Atsumu's waist, his back finally relaxing as he laid his head on Atsumu's shoulder. Fine, but we are finishing this later. I won't be able to sleep in a half-cleaned room. I know. I'll help you afterwards, okay? I promise. Sakusa nodded, giving him a grateful smile before connecting their lips. Thank you, dear.